Warhammer, the game of fantasy battles. We're doing 6th edition. I haven't played this game since 2nd edition first came out way back in the early 1990s. That is a 30-year gap. And in those 30 years, I've put a lot more Wargaming miles on the old engine, so I like to think I'm coming at this from a fresh perspective and one that has a lot more experience. Well, that's pretty true. Now, because I'm new to Warhammer and this is an extraordinarily complicated game, I mean, look at this. This is like a 300-page book, of which probably 100, 150 is appropriate. It's got a separate book for the army lists. I have built 500-point armies. I'm going to use kind of the Warhammer Warband's way of building your armies, which limits some of the things that you can do. For example, you're not using all of the big, crazy, expensive characters. My leaders are going to be a little bit smaller in scope and scale. Not quite as many units, not quite as large units on the table, which will help it go faster. But because this is my first time playing this game, and I am playing it live on camera in front of an audience that is filled with people that know a heck of a lot more about this game than I do, we may not play a full game this time around. I want to take it easy. I want you guys to tell me what I'm doing wrong. I want you guys to point out so we can get it better next time. All right, let's take a look at the armies real quick, and then we'll start rolling some dice. We'll start with the Dark Elves. This is a 495-point force. Now, in the rules for warbands, your leader is limited to just 75 points. I'm going with a leader limit of, I think it's about 100 points, to be honest with you. Yep, 100 points. So for our Dark Elves, we've got a sorcerer, just a straight-up sorcerer there. He is a level 1 guy, and he clocks in at a total of, what is it, like 95 points, I think? Oddly enough, I don't have that written down. We do have our 2 troop choices over here in the back. We have a unit of 12 spearmen and a unit of 10 corsairs with the hand crossbows. Our spear guys have the full complement: musician, banner, and champion. This guy with the blue Roman side mohawk, he's a champion. And then for our specials for these guys, we have elected to purchase 5 Dark Riders. These are not Cold One Knights, they're just Dark Riders. So they are fast cavalry. They do have a champion, and let's go ahead and just declare the guy, whoever's in the center, we'll make him our champion. I don't have a specific figure for that. So that's it, pretty simple, 500 points. They're going to be going up against the goblins. And I was very gratified on reading through the Ravening Horde books to find that my goblin nomads are legal within the confines of the rules, because the Wolf Riders are a basic troop choice. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. We've got a goblin war boss, and this is just your bog standard goblins. I am using my double-mounted guy here as my war boss. He is not riding on anything special, just a regular wolf. He does have light armor and 2 weapons. Now, the figure, as you can see, has a guy with a bow and a guy with a sword. We're not going to freak out too much about the figures that we're using. I'm not using the Games Workshop figures at all, so what are you going to do? In fact, I'm using 15mm figures, so I'm already out of the way. Now, I will also point out that I've had to kind of stretch things a little bit to make my collection work with this, because I have a total of 3 troop choices. Obviously, all 3 of my units. I've got a unit here of 9 wolf guys, wolf riders with spears. I have another unit of 9 wolf riders with spears, and 1 unit of 6 wolf riders with bows. I don't actually have 18 spear guys. So what I did is my front rank is all spears, and then I mixed in, here's a guy with a sword, bow, sword. I will be removing these guys as casualties. Well, and you know what we can do? Let's go like this. We have 2 of the non-WYSIWYG guys, but the bulk of the troop is spear, so we'll let it ride. Now, all 3 of these units have champions, and that's the guys with the yellow fuzzy banners here with the skulls on them, okay? So I have 3 champions, no musicians, those are all champions, no banners. That's it. 4 units, comes out to an even 500 points. How nice is that? So 9, 9, and 6. Let's take a look at the terrain. I should also point out that our goblins are all fast cavalry. Our terrain is going to be limited to, hey, look, a new terrain piece. We haven't seen this on the channel yet. Lovely ruined building, 3D print. Picked it up from a shop on Etsy, and that's it. We're going to be playing the Little War scenario from the Warband supplement. They have a whole thing about, oh, nominate 1, 2, 3, 4 to figure out which side is north. Look, that's north. There's no point in having a random side be north. I guess the only real difference is there's a 50-50 chance whether you're playing long side or short side. You're supposed to use 2x2. I'm going to use a 3x2 table. Oh, right, I should also point out, because I'm using 15mm figures to play this, I cut all my ranges and measurements in half. So we're going to be playing on effectively a 4x6 table, but it's really 2x3, so I'm just going to designate that north. Then we need to figure out which map we're going to use in our deployment. So we roll a d6 for that. And that means our deployment is going to be on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. We'll bring that in a little bit. There we go. So we roll a single die, and on a 2, 1, 2, 3. So look, it's very easy. We've got deployment on the north and south. Then we roll to see who deploys first, and whoever rolls highest, the green die is the goblins. So the Dark Elves get to, what do the Dark Elves get to do? Whoever rolls highest may choose to go first or second, and our Dark Elves have 4 units compared to 4 for the other guys. We want the other guy to go first. The Goblins have to deploy their first unit because we want to adjust our deployment. So when I say our, I mean the active player. So the deciding player, generally I'm the one that's deciding. So when I talk about we or our, I'm talking about from the perspective of who I'm deciding for right now. So in that case, we want the other guy to go first so we can adjust appropriately. And the other guy drops his first unit of zoomers over here on his left, but the camera's right, which allows the Dark Elves to implement their strategy of anchoring this spear line on that house. Protect their left flank. We'll protect their right flank with these bow guys. So basically the goblins just went bing, 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 bing. And in response, the Dark Elves said, you know what? If you are going to put your heavy hitters over there, we'll go 1, 2, put our leader here, and then we'll put our cold ones to kind of sweep around from our left side. We're going to play first one to 50% casualties loses, which means the next order of business is rolling for initiative. Once again, the yellow die will be for the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves get it, and they opt to go first. In this game, our turn sequence goes basically movement, magic, missile weapons, melee. Now, the movement's a little odd because you have to declare your charges first before you do anything else. Then you do all the compulsory stuff. You do like rally phase, so morale slips in there kind of before, kind of simultaneously with movement, but morale's not an issue on the first turn, so we're just going to bypass that, and we'll move all of our units. Our lizard riders move 9 inches, everybody else moves 5, and I've already made a big mistake. My leader probably should have been between the 2 foot units. He has moved 5 inches over in this direction. Remember, we're gaming at half size, so their movement is 5. If they move double speed, they're marching, then they can move a total of 10 inches, cut that in half, you're right back down to 5. So basically, the movement that you get from normal Warhammer is our march movement. Cut that in half for if you want to do something like shoot. Now, the other issue is, if he was up here, he might, well, magic comes next. Nobody is in range of any of his spells. Missile comes next, and the missile, our troops here have a range of 12 inches. No one is in range, so we're done with the first turn, the Dark Elf side of the turn. Now we get to move our goblins. And our goblins are thinking that they're a little too far away. The question will be, what do we want to do? Do we want to send these guys over to confront the cold ones? We got them outnumbered 9-6. Or, how do we want to do this? And I think the big thing is, because it's a learning game, let's not worry too much about strategy. Let's just get them in and get stuck and get fighting, okay? After the goblins move, the table looks a little something like this. Let's get these guys out of the way. We know what's going on. Over here on their left flank, the goblins have repositioned to create a broad front of 5. Remember that you need to have an equal number of figures in each rank, so these guys have to choose between 5 in the front or 9 straight across. I know we have some round bases. It's fine. It'll work okay. They did go with a broad front of 6 for the shooty boys. Actually, we'll move the king over here just a little bit more. These spears over here on the right are out of command, but the bowmen are in command, and that's really going to be it. They have no magic, which may cost them in the end, And the goblins also have no missile fire. So that's going to be the end of the turn for them. And then I think we have morale checks as the last. But again, we don't have any morale checks to take. So play kicks over. That's the end of turn 1. Play kicks over to the Dark Elves. And the Dark Elves say, yeah, you know what? I am going to charge over here. If we can catch these guys all the way on the back foot, we're going to be doing great. And by moving straight ahead, I think we're going to be fine. So that's going to be declared charge. Then we do any compulsory moves. Retreating, for example. If anybody's fleeing, we would do that now. But that's not the case. We don't have any of that this turn. Wait a minute. The goblins have to declare what they're going to do in response to the charge. And these fast cavalry could run away, but they'd have to run directly away from these guys, which puts them off the table. They don't have any missile fire, so they're going to receive the charge. They're just going to hold. We check our charge range, 9 inches, and look at that. They're going to come up about a half an inch short, which means it's a failed charge. These lizard riders are only going to move their normal move rate to right here, and that might be a problem for them. Then we have the remaining moves. We'll bring these guys up. We could charge the goblins. Can we charge? No, because 5 inches is as far as they can go. So we will march this unit up to protect their flanks. They're going to march right up to here. The guys with the hand crossbows now, we've got 2 more guys to move. The guys with the hand crossbow, they're going to wait, and let's try to shoot at these guys. That being the case, we can bring our leader up about 3 inches. We'll bring him up to 4.5, and that puts him close enough that his leadership is going to affect the 2 nearby units. That will be it for the movement. We could probably, I don't know if you can backwards wheel these guys. I'd really like them to be cocked just a little bit more that way, but I'm not going to worry about that for right now. We're just going to go ahead and say stop. We're done with movement. Now we have to do magic, and our wizard here is going to try to get off a spell. Normally the way this works, we've got a level 1 wizard. He's going to roll a total of 2 dice to determine if he gets his spell off. I forgot to point out, there are 8 schools of magic in this game. Fire, death, heaven, let's see what else we got. Lore of metal. See how he's got the little flame in his hand right here? We're going to call him a fire wizard, which means he can cast a fireball spell. It's got a range of 24 inches. To get that off, he needs to roll 2d6, and he needs to get a 5 or better. Now, we could do a fiery blast, which is way better. The simple spell does d6 strength 4 hits. The fiery blast does 2d6 strength 4 hit. Wait, what? Oh, d6 versus 2d6. We're going to go with a 5 up. If we can get a 5 up, hey, look at that, we got a 7. So he casts, and I probably should have declared all this stuff. He's going to cast Fireball on this unit right here. We want to wipe this unit out. We got it off. That means he does d6 strength 4 hits. So we rolled d6. So 4 strength 4 hits on these guys. Toughness of 3 versus strength 4. Now, normally it's you're wounding on a 4 up, but if you take the difference and you add or subtract it appropriately, because it's strength 4 versus toughness 3, we're going to reduce the difficulty by 1. We roll 4 dice, looking for 3s or better. That's a miss. We get 3 wounding hits. The goblins here are wearing light armor, which gives them, I believe that's a 6-up save. They're classed as having light armor and a shield, and their cavalry, which makes their armor save a 4 or better. So we roll these, we pull out any 4s or betters, and they have successfully saved all of that damage. That's it for magic. Now we have to do missile fire. And for missile fire, we've got 5 guys in the front rank here who can each take a shot. But they have hand repeater crossbows, so they can make 2 attacks. With a ballistic skill of 4, they only need 3s to hit. Unless they moved, which they didn't, that would be -1. And unless they're within 6 inches, I can drop my 6-inch ruler down. That means they're going to be at long range. Instead of hitting on 3s, they're going to be hitting on 4s. So we roll all 10 dice, and we are going to miss a total of 5 times. So average roll, we got 5 hits. Again, these guys have light armor and a spear, so we are going to roll 5 hits. Saving on 4s, they're going to lose 2 guys. And I am going to pull off, as I said, the guys that are holding the wrong weapons. I got one guy with the sword there. I thought I had another guy with the wrong weapon. I guess not. So we'll pull off a second guy there. If you take 25% casualties, then you take a morale check. We needed one more casualty in order to force that. 2 out of 9 ain't gonna cut it, Dark Elves, which means the Dark Elves' turn is now over. The Goblins get to go first. And they are going to do... So now we can go ahead and charge over here. We are within range, so the question is, do our Dark Riders flee to buy themselves some time, or do they just take the charge? And we're going to just take the charge. We're going to hold fast. So it's going to be a 5-on-5, but the Goblins have an extra 4 boys in the back to be able to withstand. These guys are also going to charge the shooters. These fast cavalry over here. So we'll bring them into contact. Kapow. And then the question is, what do our shooters do? Well, oh, and I should also point out. Okay. Cold ones are going to stand fast. Remember we were 6.5. We got to bring these guys back 1.5 inches. Our shooters are going to open fire on these riders. We are once again going to be rolling 10 dice. Now, because we're firing at chargers, we are at -1. But the chargers are at close range, so we've lost that long distance. I think that means that we are going to be once again hitting on 4s. We'll roll and we get just 3 hits this time. Saving on 4s or betters, we saved those, and so we take 1 more casualty before kapow, we get stuck in. So we were able to eliminate 3 of these guys before melee ensued. And now we're done. Now, that is it for the charges. Oh, what are we going to do with our leader? I think we should probably bring him over here to help these guys out, kind of stiffen their resolve, because it doesn't look like it's going well. Now, the leader is an individual figure, so he's going to be able to move over to right about there. Oh, let's leave him here. He's still within 6 inches of our guys, but he is not in line of sight because he's hiding behind his troops, as you would expect from a goblin leader. Leading from the rear. That is it, I think. Am I missing anything? They don't have any magic. We shot with these guys. There's nobody left to fire missile fire, so we are now on to our first melee. Let's take a look at this melee first, shall we? Because they charged, the goblins will attack first. They've got 5 guys in the front rank with spears, but they have a champion as well. The champion gives them 1 extra attack, and each of these 5 wolves get to attack as well. We're going to use different colored dice because our corsairs down here have a weapon skill of 4. Normally you're hitting on 4s. The guys with the spears are going to be hitting on 6s. We'll roll 6 dice for that. They have a weapon skill of 2. Difference of 2 increases the difficulty by 2. The wolves themselves have a weapon skill of 3. They will be hitting on 5s. So we get 11 attacks, but they're not going to be very effective. There is some more good news for them. Our riders will get 2 hits, and then rolling for the wolves. Again, we're hitting on 5s. We wind up getting 2 more hits for the wolves. All of the attackers have a strength of 3, but because they charged this round, our goblins with the spears have an effective strength of 4. Going up against a toughness 3, 3 versus 3, these will be wounds on 4s. These red dice will be wounds on 3s. So we roll, and we get a total of 2 hits. The corsairs are wearing, I want to say light armor, and because they're foot troops, I think... yeah, it's just light armor. So they have taken a total of 2 hits. They have to make their saves now. And because it's light armor, I think it's just saving on a 6. Let's find out. Well, a 4 and a 2 ain't going to do it. We're going to pull 2 guys off the back. That's it for the goblins attack. Wait, 2 guys off the back. There we go. That means they no longer have 2 full ranks. Not only that, but the corsairs now get an opportunity to attack back. Question. Weapon skill of 4 versus who? Is it do they fight the guys on the mounts or do they fight the mounts? All blows are struck against the rider. We've only got 5 guys in the front rank. Let's use the blue dice for the Dark Elves since they're kind of wearing... They got some blue, what do you call it? Blue highlights on their armor. Weapon skill of 4 versus weapon skill of 2 means instead of hitting on 4s, we're going to be hitting on 2s, but we only get 5 attacks because we're using our melee attacks. We're going to call that 4 hits, and remember our... Oh, now we got to roll to wound. This is strength 3 versus toughness 3. Wounding on 4s, we get 2. Wounding hits, and then we're checking our saves. These guys will save on 4s or better. They get a 6 and a 1, meaning just 1 casualty. So at the end of our combat, what are we left with for results? Well, it's 2 casualties here versus 1 casualty here. The Dark Elves have lost the melee. They make a leadership test versus 8. We're going to roll 2d6. They need to get 8 or less. They have failed. I can move the casualties out of the way now. And because they're on foot, they are going to flee 2d6 inches. They will flee 3. The guys on horseback will flee 3d6 inches. And they will, or not flee, they'll pursue a total of... Well, hang on. Remember, it's 1.5 inches because we're at half scale. I think this was actually a 7. We're going to use this. It's fine. It's fine. It's 9. So our goblins are going to pursue a total of 4.5 inches. They've overrun this unit. That is a total of... So the Corsairs are driven off. That's 150 points, which is well on the way. It's not the 250 break point that would lose them the game. And here's this corner of the table after the overrun has successfully driven them off. I should point out the leader here, I think he gives +1 to that morale check, meaning a 9 would have succeeded. They rolled an 11. There was no hope for them. We have 1 more melee we got to take care of here on turn 2. The nice thing about this combat is that all of the rules for the goblins still apply. We've got a champion in the front rank. We're going to be rolling 6 dice with a weapon skill of 2 versus a weapon skill of 4. They're going to be hitting on 6s. The wolves are going to be hitting on 5s. The wolves are in blue. The goblins are in red. We'll call that a grand total of just 1 hit for the goblins. Ooh. I don't know that this is going to go very well. That 1 hit is going to wound on a 5 or a 6. Wait, strength 3, toughness 3. That is a wound, and then do the Dark Elves save. Goblins hit first. The Dark Elf fails his save. That's going to be 1 casualty for the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves get to counterattack. They have a champion in the front rank too. But now we're going to be hitting the blue dice. Will be, let's see. The red dice are the riders. We've only got 4 riders, one of whom is a champion, so we'll take out a die. The red dice are going to be 4s versus 2s. They'll be hitting on 2s. The blue dice will be hitting on 3s. So we'll take out the blue dice that missed, and then the red dice all hit. The goblins still will be saving on a 4 or better. Oh, wait, this is the wound roll, isn't it? We got our hits. Now we're checking our wounds, and because they did not charge, the spear here... I don't even know. Are these cold ones holding spears or lances? Dark Riders, they're carrying spears, but they didn't charge, so they don't get the bonus. So all of these are going to be wounding on 4s. We'll pull these 2 out, and then we are going to be saving on 4s for the goblins, and they get a grand total of 2 saves, so they lose 3 of their boys. The goblins lost this fight, meaning they have to make a leadership check. And with a result of a 3, they fail. Now, this is where things get a lot more interesting. The blue dice, we're going to roll 3d6 for each. The goblins have lost. They flee 3d6 inches. The cold ones are going to pursue. They also move 3d6 inches. Let's see if they get away. The blue dice are the Dark Elves. So the goblins will run away a grand total of 12 inches. Well, wait a minute. 6 inches. And then the Dark Riders will pursue 6.5 inches, meaning the goblins lose a unit of spears over here. But we got to check something here. The Dark Riders, as I said, they're going to move 6.5 inches. So we'll check and see where that takes them. 6 inches, and then we'll go just another half an inch forward. So they may be badly out of position right there, but we won't know until we get to the next turn. So very deadly combat here. We're at 1 unit to 1 unit. The next force to lose, I think one more unit will do it, will be the end of the game. So we roll on to turn number 3. I don't think we have any psychology left to do. That was, we forgot something. Remember, our turn order is move, magic, missile. I've got 6 guys with bows that could have fired at this spear unit. I know we're out of order, but I want to practice this, okay? Guys, like I said, it's a practice game. We've got 6 shots at this declared unit, and with a ballistic skill of 3, they're at short range, they haven't moved, they're hitting on 3s, they get a total of 3 hits. Checking for wounds, strength 3, toughness 3, they get a total of 3 wounds. Now we got to check saves. Our Corsair, now these are not Corsairs, these are spear guys. They have light armor, that's it. And because they're on foot, I think that means it's a 6 to save, or is it a 5? Light armor is a save of 6. They are going to lose 3 troopers, which is 25% casualties. They need to make a morale check. At +1, with a high leadership, they're going to be just fine. All right, so we did that. If I was good at video editing, I could do, but then I could go back and put that in before the melee, but then you would notice that my cold ones and everybody else would move. So I'm not gonna fool you. I'll tell you, I'm hurting for a good quick reference sheet for this game. If you know where I can find one, let me know. I'll print it up and maybe that'll streamline play. We're only 2 turns in. We've got 1 more turn left to go, and it is the Dark Elves' turn to go first. So, do we want to charge these guys? I kind of think we do. We're going to declare a charge here. What do you want to do? And these guys can actually run away as their response. That's the only charge we've got, though, isn't it? Oh. Yeah, that's the only charge we've got for right now. They move 3d 6 inches right away from these guys, who are going to have to advance 5 inches. And, oh, look at that. They only move 2 inches out of the way. This is where the game gets a little more complicated, and this is where the fun enters in. So we'll pull these guys back, and they are going to be facing in the wrong direction, 2 inches. Then our chargers are going to be able to move 5 inches. And man, wouldn't you know it, that is just a devastating roll for these guys. Hey, here's a question I got for you. What does it mean that this guy's in the way of our chargers? It means for today, I got to check this on the rules. But what it really means is I'm going to slide these guys over here. And it's not going to make much difference because, as I said, they're going to get stuck in the rear flank. What a devastating turn of events for the goblins. They stumbled there out of the fleeing gate, and they're going to get attacked in the rear flank. That's really going to hurt them. But we're not doing melee yet, are we? Next thing we're going to do is just our normal movement, and these guys can reform, and they're going to charge into the flank here, like so. We'll put kind of 2 on that guy, so we'll get the 2. We may be able to do some wraparound attacks, but man, in addition to getting hit in this side, and I forgot about these guys over here, probably should have fled to safety because this game might be over pretty quick. Not only that, but we do have a magic phase. We're going to try to hit this guy with a fireball, and with a 7, we're successful. That's going to be D6, strength 4 hits. We get 5 of them, and our leader just gets blasted. Goblins really need a shaman. There is a way to dispel. Gets complicated. Not prepared to go down that road today. Instead, I'm going to roll for my strength 4 hits against my boy. My goblin war boss is going to have a toughness of 4. So instead of 4s, we need 5s to wounds. We only get 1 wound. Not only that, but because he's got light armor, he's going to be saving on a 5 or better, and he saves. That's it for magic. We don't have any missile, so we have a combat here. And this combat is going to get really ugly because we've got 4 chargers with an extra attack. So there's our 2, 4, 5. Plus we've got 4 cold ones. And I think I rolled an extra attack last time I did this. Against weapon skills of 2, it's going to be really ugly. we can figure this out. The guys on the riders have a weapon skill of 4 versus 2. They're hitting on everything but the 1. And these guys are definitely hitting, so we've got a total of 8 hits. And I don't think these guys can react to the charge. I don't think the goblins can react to the charge because they're already contacted to the rear. We're going to roll for all of the attackers first. Oh, you know, the goblins don't get any counterattacks. So they take a total of 4 hits. The red dice are going to be at +1, meaning 3. These will be wounding on 3s. The blue dice will be wounding on 4s. And we miss 1, 2, 3. All of these are saving at light armor is going to be, I think it was light armor and shield. They're going to be saving on 4s. We're going to lose 2 guys. 1, and then not the champion, 2. Our champion bowman, which might have given us an extra bow shot. I don't know. But we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks. Oh, wait, these guys are spears. Spears get to attack in ranks. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attacks altogether, plus an extra because we have a champion in the front row. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll roll the hit, and we know these 6s are automatically hits. The warriors have a weapon skill of 4 versus weapon skill of 2. These are all going to be hits. We'll roll to see if we wound. In this case, it's 3 versus 3. We're only wounding on 4s. So that's 3 more hits, and then we've got no saves. So 3 more hits is going to leave us with just the champion, and the champion is going to run away. We'll pursue with the cold ones. At this point, I think the game is over. How far does he move? He moves, we get 5, 11. So it's 5.5 inches for the 1 versus the guy running away that moves. This was a 5 as well. So he does manage to escape from the cold. Well, I guess the other way to do it is to say because they've directly contacted him, we can roll 2d6 for them, and he will be able to move 5 inches. But he does need to make... Well, wait a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. Does he pass his leadership check? He does. So he actually will be able to stand and fight for one more turn. But I think the game is largely over. Maybe. No, our champion says, you know what, I'm going to hold the line. Even though I lost that combat. We'll move these guys out of the way. Because the Dark Elves are done. And not being able to finish this last guy off, not driving him from the field, unless there's some penalties I'm missing, means that the goblins have an opportunity to win the fight. And I'll show you why. This fast cavalry down here can reform on center at the start of their turn. And to reform, they're going to pivot something like this, and they're going to charge this guy. Not only that, but the goblin war boss is also going to charge that guy. And that means something like this. They're absolutely going to be able to catch him. They were about 4.5 inches away. If our leader decides he wants to run away, he will be able to run 3 inches, but at 6 inches, they will be able to catch him. So unless he rolled a 7 or 8, and even if he does, we'll have a little bit of a mano on these guys up here. So that's really, let's do that. These guys have chased him down, but they just missed, and we get to do 1 melee over here. And that's the melee that our goblins want to start with, because that melee up there, where it's that lone champion holding the line, ain't going to go well. This should determine the game. Oh, it's not actually. Both of these guys are less than 100 points. The fact that this champion up here is about to get just raked over the coals means the game is a foregone conclusion. But let's go ahead and do this fight anyway. This could be fun. The Goblin War Boss has charged a sorcerer. He gets 2 attacks because he's got 2 weapons. His wolf gets to attack. And he gets to attack first because he charged. Weapon skill of 5 with a mount has a weapon skill of 3 versus the sorcerer who has a weapon skill of 4. That means these 2 dice will be hitting on 3s, and this will be hitting on a 6. We get a total of 2 hits by the Goblin War Boss with a strength of 4 versus toughness 3. We will wound on 3s. We get 2 wounds. The sorcerer there does not have, he does not have any saves at all. So that's 2 wounds, and he only has 2 wounds, so he dies. This might trigger a check on these guys, and like I said, I'm pretty sure the fight is over. The goblin gets to fight, and he gets 2 attacks, and he's going to hit once, and he's going to do, what's his strength? He's got a strength of, but he's fast cavalry. He's only got a strength of 3. That is no wounds, and then he's going to eat a whole bunch of attacks in response. The spear guys are going to be able to roll 9, 10 dice altogether, and they are going to be hitting on 2s, I think. So only 1 miss. All of these are going to be wounding on 4s, so we'll count the 4s. Move the misses out. We get a total of 4 hits, and the guy on the horseback, or the wolfback, I guess I should say, he misses 3 of his saves. He's dead. That is the end of the fight. The Dark Elves have won what turned out to be a very fair fight. It was basically like 242 to now we've pushed it up to, let's see what those points are for all those goblins. The goblin mounted, those 9-point units are going to be at, a 2-page roster, a 2-page army roster is quite a bit. Each of these units is 154 points. The bow guys is another 100, so losing 1 unit of spears and the bows is 254 points, and that's going to be the end of the game. Our goblin leader is going to ride off to safety with what remains of his force. And kind of a quick game. What are we at here? About an hour in this video, maybe 45 minutes. That's the beauty of it. Remember, point size tells you roughly how long the game will take. It's not really indicating how fair the fight is. I think that the Goblin Wolf Riders are fairly weak, but I used them wrong. I went head-to-head, and what you really want to do is a hammer and anvil approach. Send one in. You want to use their superior mobility to hit them in the flanks. I know that. I understand that. It's a little more complicated when you've got more fast cavalry on the other side. These Dark Elves can counter a lot of that mobility with their own, and then because they've got the big boom boom spellcaster that you've got no answer for, it spells trouble. Am I gonna throw some magic in on the goblin side so we got a little bit more dispelling? I don't have any wolf mounted goblin spellcaster shaman types, so instead I'm gonna play around with some other army lists next. We may go a little bit bigger. I may throw down a 500-point Empire army to see how that changes things. I don't know. Tune in. Kind of a fun little introduction to this small scale, both in terms of figures and point size, Warhammer 6th edition. Tell me what you think. Tell me what I did wrong. What am I missing here? It's a really complicated game. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of things. I need your help. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Till next time, I'm praying for you.